The ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia has resulted in the loss of countless lives and the displacement of many more. Despite numerous attempts at finding a peaceful resolution, the situation remains tense and volatile, with both sides fighting fiercely for their understanding of justice. The United States Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, has emphasized that peace in Ukraine must be based on the recognition of the country's territorial integrity, in accordance with the principles of the United Nations. This means the withdrawal of all Russian occupiers from the Ukrainian territories they have seized since 2014, and the restoration of international law that has been brazenly violated by the Russian Federation. In contrast, Russian President Vladimir Putin has repeatedly demanded that Ukraine recognize the independence of the so-called Donetsk and Luhansk People's Republics, which were created by the Kremlin as a result of the occupation of part of the territory of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions of Ukraine. He believes that any negotiations on the cessation of hostilities should begin with the recognition by the Ukrainian leadership of the fact that these regions are now part of the Russian Federation. This approach is not acceptable to the Ukrainian people, who have suffered greatly as a result of Russian aggression. It is clear that a just and lasting peace in Ukraine must respect the country's territorial integrity, in accordance with the Helsinki Agreements. Any recognition of the Russian status of the Crimea, Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia regions of Ukraine will only be the first step towards further territorial expansion by the Russian Federation. As the Ukrainian leadership has rightly pointed out, such recognition will only encourage Vladimir Putin to launch further military campaigns against Ukraine in the future. The Russian people, led by Putin, continue to support the war with Ukraine and hope to conquer all of Ukraine, or at least force the Ukrainian leadership to recognize these false territorial realities. However, the civilized world knows that Ukraine's position is the correct one, and that international law and Ukraine's internationally recognized borders must be respected. This conflict between Ukraine and Russia may go down in history as one of the defining moments of the 21st century. The outcome of this conflict will determine the course of future conflict events and shape the history of our time. It is important that the whole civilized world stands with Ukraine in this grueling and cruel war, which is unknown when it will end. We must continue to strive for peace in Ukraine, but not at the expense of Ukraine's territorial integrity. We must ensure that the Ukrainian people have the necessary tools and weapons to counter the invasion and defend their country's borders. Only then can we hope for a just and lasting peace in this region.